Hey everybody, welcome back to I Know a Guy. If you're new here, my name's Anthony. I'm a business profit advocate. On this show, we interview entrepreneurs, business owners, professionals, and people doing cool things. For example, today we're meeting John, the video guy. He's a freelance video editor and content creator. He runs a YouTube channel where he teaches all things video related and helps viewers monetize their passions through content creation on YouTube. How you doing today, John?
Great. How are you doing?
Fantastic. We got the holiday right here, so I had one work day early in the week, just got off of a vacation, so I got to try and remember what I'm doing. But then tomorrow I'm going a couple days off again, and I got to remember it's a mess. So we'll see.
Yeah, I'm there with you. It's one of those weeks, the
Yeah,
holiday.
yeah, it's all broken up, and I barely know what I'm doing on a good day. So we'll see what happens. So, where are you calling in from? Where are you located?
So I'm from Cleveland, Ohio, Northeast Ohio area.
Okay. Are you originally from the area, or are you newer there?
I am. Yeah, I grew up in Maple Heights, which is a suburb of Cleveland, Ohio. Moved to Twinsburg when I was young, and I've been there ever since.
Okay. I've only ever driven through Ohio, which is a very common thing for all of us in the Midwest, that a lot of people say the same thing about Iowa. But if you have somebody coming to visit, where do you take them? What do you do for fun there?
In Cleveland, there's a lot of different areas in Cleveland, especially recently. There's like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. There's a lot of great restaurants downtown as well. We have like a strip downtown on East 4th that's really popular. There's a lot of restaurants down there for tourists and stuff. I don't really go down there that much, but if people are stopping by, definitely hit a lot of the restaurants and different attractions downtown.
Gotcha. What's your go-to restaurant if you had to pick one?
Uh, Let me see. I'm pulling up one. I can't think of one any off the top of my mind. Like I said, I don't really go down there, but I know it's a really hot spot for tourists.
Well, I guess what type of food? Are you talking like Italian, barbecue?
There is this one Mexican place I like down there called Barrio.
Mhm.
Um, I do like their food. I went there a few times.
Yeah. It was a meme I saw the other day, and it's like just kind of ignoring the fact that if you count how many tortilla chips you eat before your food comes. You basically ate 87 tortillas before you ever had your entree. So it's kind
Yeah.
of something we all kind of turn a blind eye to. But anyway, so awesome. Well, what can you tell us about what you're doing? The video guy.
Yeah, sure. So I'm John the Video Guy. Very fitting that I'm on a Noah Guy podcast. So like we talked about, the branding is really like spot on. But so I do video editing and freelance videography in the Cleveland area, but I also do travel. And I also run a YouTube channel, like you said. So I teach others how to edit videos in the software Premiere Pro After Effects. I started out working for a company out of high school, worked there for about 9 years. And just this past year, I left to start my own freelance video editing business.
Okay, awesome. What was the final thing? You're like, I'm taking that leap. I'm starting my own.
Yeah, I think what it was for me is since I was there for around 9 years, I kind of reached the ceiling, kind of like where I was. I kind of wanted to challenge myself a little bit more, take that next step. And for me, I was growing the YouTube channel at the time and had a nice opportunity where I could do that as part of my business as well as do freelance video editing. So for me, it feels right taking that leap. It just feels kind of natural, editing for a company for 9 years, taking that leap into starting my own business.
Yep. Yep. No, I get that. Kind of, you get to a certain point, you're like, okay, it's time for me to make my own. You're not going to find the perfect job. You kind of got to make it. And then you got to remake it every day because it's always a mess. So awesome. Well, so everything video editing, everything, from the video guy, what does that look like when are you coaching people from all levels of it? Or are you like from nobody that's ever barely even turned on a computer to people that are like looking for higher end tips or just anything and everything in between?
It's almost everything and anything in between. I think primarily my channel is very search based. So if people are looking for how to do something very specific in a software, like how to change the pitch of someone's voice or to do something very specific, my content comes up quite a bit. But in like level of entry, there are like very beginner friendly tutorials. And then there's also like more advanced things that are like 30, 40 minutes long of how to do some type of very complicated, motion graphic or effect essentially. But there's content on my YouTube channel really for anyone that's interested.
That's awesome. And that's the beautiful thing about YouTube is it's really changed the way that we do things now. Like if before it's like I don't know how to do this. I got to call that guy. I got to figure it out. I got to go find the user manual. Nope, not anymore. You go on YouTube, you type in how do I change this or how do I fix this or what's the best way. And there you go, step-by-step guide. So it's super, super handy. We have literally the the world's, knowledge at our fingertips. Have folks like you that are very, very good in your specific area. And that's like, okay, we're gonna break this down so that anybody can do it. So that's awesome because a lot of this stuff is intimidating.
Mm.
When you look at it from the onset, there's a lot to learn, but having somebody like you that's yep, it's intimidating. I get it, but you only got to learn it once. So let's make sure we go through it together, and then you can stop and rewind at your own time. So it's beautiful. What kind of got your passion in that space going?
I think for me, it's really rewarding. Like you said, like teaching others, showing others how to get into the industry. And for me, I went to kind of like trade school essentially. So I didn't go to actually a 4 year degree college. I kind of learned it when I was in high school, entered the workforce that way. So a lot of a lot of times I would go there, learn, but I was also doing a lot of YouTube research and learning on my own, watching tutorials and things. So I kind of got inspired by a lot of other creators before me, like the original tutorial channels on YouTube at the time. And I figured, as I learn and develop in my career, why not give it back, and share what I've learned and my unique perspective on video editing.
So you've been doing it for basically, you said what, like a decade?
About
Um,
it.
yeah. So what's changed over that decade, and where do you kind of see the next decade going?
Oh wow, that's a great question. It's a question I don't really get asked that much, but I would say AI has really come far in the last few years. I think that's probably where it's going. And when I take a look at like the early days of like my content, even when I was first learning video editing, we were kind of limited by some of the tools. It's amazing how much you can do as a video editor now, whether it's color correction, different effects. There's a lot of plugins and extensions that do a lot of the heavy lifting work for you. Where back in the day, if you needed to make a certain edit or try to figure something out, you kind of had to get your hands dirty and get creative with how to accomplish something, which I like doing personally, is trying to figure out how to do something. But today, with the software and the way it's going, there's a lot of tools that you can use, especially AI, that can make video editing a lot easier.
Yeah, that's true, and I'm trying to take advantage of all of them because
Yep.
it's definitely not my passion isn't like with you trying to go super deep into it. I kind of want it to work as well as I need it to, and then not have to take up.
Yeah.
So,
And
but
like the kicker though is like when I first learned it, I learned like the hard way of doing things. And then this AI came around and is like, oh, now you can just click it with one button and it does it for you.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah, I can see that. But at the same time, that's still valuable because you know how that works. So that video has always been one of those things where it's like you can really go into the weeds. There's a lot that you can go into that I don't even know questions to ask at that level. But you could also go very surface level, kind of like what I've been doing, and you being able to help people that need to go down certain paths to accomplish whatever their goals are. Is, really, really awesome. So AI is obviously going to be a larger and larger part of everything we're doing, not just video, not just literally everything. Um, I guess in 10 years, where do you kind of see it to be at? Like, is it going to be, it's just I press a button, I tell it a prompt, and now it's done, or is it going to still have a lot of the human element where we're in there doing kind of like we are today, but different.
yeah, I think it's a good question. It's hard to really predict the future, but what I can say based on what I see now is I think there's always going to be a need for that human touch to it. Because even the AI tools now, like for example, like on my videos, sometimes I'll make shorts, or like sometimes when I record podcasts or different things, I'll use like a tool to make a YouTube short for me. And it can do it. It can make, take like a 50-minute video and make 60 seconds out of it, but does it hit the right points that you want it to hit? And I think having that human element to it of like knowing like what my audience wants, there's just a little bit more complexity to it, to storytelling, I want to say, that AI might not be able to get to eventually, but that's still, to be seen, I guess. In 10 years, I'm sure, it's almost impossible to see where we're going to be at. But I feel like there's still, creative direction that can be applied on the human level.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And even from my experience where, I'll cut YouTube shorts with different tools and it'll start on like a 1.5 second pause. I'm like, well, that's not optimal, right? We're gonna have to still tweak that. So where we're at now, definitely a huge human element. And you're right. Not only does things change, but it seems to accelerate how fast they change. So prediction's fairly hard. So what would you do different today if you were starting out as opposed to what you did, a decade ago? What advice would you give somebody starting out now?
As a video editor, I gosh, that's a good question. I feel like it's changed so much with AI tools and everything, but I think still I'm still grounded in my decision not to go to college because I feel like there's so much content out there where you can learn video editing, especially now with YouTube. There's even more content and more tools and things available to for video editors to learn how to create videos. Um, I think if you want to, you can go to school for it, but there's a lot of free materials where you can just click a YouTube video and learn in 4 hours how to do something, and get a really full understanding of the software. But I would say, go on YouTube, learn as much as you can as a video editor. Starting out, getting your first gigs as a freelancer, if that's the way you want to go, is going to be tough. I'd recommend maybe doing a few sample projects to build out a portfolio. That's probably one of the main things is you want to start to establish like proof of work of showing what you can do, and then start pitching yourself to different people, different companies that can, use your services. But that's probably where I would start. Similar, but I would take full advantage of the information that and the tools that are already out there.
Yeah, something like video editing, I think the portfolio would be way more sellable, or would just be a better starting point than a college degree, because you're like, hey, I attended college, I did XYZ, as opposed to here's everything that I know how to do and here's it in practice, right? Where people, that's tangible. So there's definitely something to be said for that, especially if you're learning it all firsthand and you're actually applying it and you're driven to do it by yourself, because that's harder too. You don't have that structure. You're kind of going down the rabbit holes on what you need to know yourself. That would be the main thing, would be having that structure to make sure you're covering all your bases and you're well rounded. You're not just really good at one niche, or maybe be really good at one niche. I don't know. Yeah. What do you typically look like when you're having conversations with people that might be wanting to find a video editor? What's the commonality between them?
Yeah, usually the commonality is they know they need videos, but they're not exactly sure how to go about it. I think each client, whether it's a business or a personal, person that's just making a video trying to figure out how to do something, it really the commonality is they either need a video or they want a video, and it's just trying to figure out what's the best way to get them to where they want to be. So as a video editor, you kind of want to look at it as like they have a problem or issue and you're trying to get them to their solution. And what you can do is just bridge the gap of like the video technology of how to, provide them a video that they need to, fulfill what they're looking to accomplish. And that's probably the broad comparison, broad similarity, I would say client to client.
Okay. What about power partners? Do you have any synergies that you work well with? Like, hey, I'm the video editor, but people that are in this industry or this industry, I can work really well with, and you guys can kind of refer back and forth.
Yeah, definitely. And especially as a video editor, I work with a few marketing agencies, which is really nice. So, like, people will have clients, but they do marketing, they do strategy, they do social media, but then video is like an extra thing added to it that businesses are looking to do. So, businesses might have like their email marketing down, their social media strategy down, not including video. But then here and there, they're like, well, we need to get into Instagram Reels. We need to start making YouTube videos. Maybe they want to make a podcast or something. So I think as a video editor, a powerful connection can be like agencies or different small businesses that might have a marketing team or that work with a small marketing team for their content.
Where would you put YouTube at the moment, where, versus all the other platforms for, your main focus, or where other people should focus? Like, is YouTube still the best in certain areas? Is it just somewhere that you should probably be or focus on? Or is there like an actual percentage, like 50% of what you're doing should be here at least, or something like that?
Yeah, it's a very good question. I think it really comes down to who's trying to be on the platform. So if you're a small business, is YouTube right for you? There's a few businesses that I'm like, maybe not. Like I work for a DJ and make Instagram Reels for him, but he has a YouTube channel, but he doesn't post regularly. And like it wouldn't make sense for him to, continue do YouTube because like how to DJ, how to do this maybe, or like how to content. Whereas focus is more on trying to get customers and clients and that. He's primarily doing weddings, where you really have to look at the target audience on the platform that you're on. And I think YouTube's really good when it comes to search-based content like that. Um, but depending on the niche and the certain business like verticals, it might not make sense to be on YouTube. But in general, as an individual, I think it's great to be on YouTube, just to establish, you know, uh, presence, be a thought leader in your space. For me, it's video editing, and just to share your perspective with the world, I think is very valuable. That's kind of like, I would say, the main focus of YouTube.
Okay. Yeah, because I've always heard YouTube is the number two search engine in the world. So if you're putting something out there that's educational, absolutely, it makes like perfect sense to have it readily available on YouTube because that's what I've used it for. Any number of times. Put a number is probably in the ballpark. Where it's like I don't know how to do this. Pulling up YouTube. So awesome, awesome. So we're looking at the new year. More and more people are looking at YouTube. It's continuing to grow. It's been around since what was it? Oh 07, oh 08, somewhere around there.
Yeah, I think '05, I think was the first video. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's been around forever, but it's just continuing to grow. Some people think, oh, it's oversaturated, yada yada yada. How do I start a YouTube channel in 2025?
Yeah, I think that's a great question because it is very saturated and it's hard to stand out even from when I first started. And that's why like I struggle too. I mean, I'm at just above 10,000 subscribers in the tutorial niche. It's hard to break through, especially with search-based content. But I think there's still opportunity in certain pockets. And I think the key is to really niche down and be very specific with your target audience. Make sure that you're making content that will solve their needs, their wants, but also to add in your own personality. Because the thing is, with how saturated YouTube is, anyone can learn Premiere Pro or like video editing, in my case. But there's certain people that will watch my video rather than others, just based on the way I explain things, my personality, the way I deliver content. So even though it's saturated, you can find your own unique perspective and way that you can create content and put that on the platform. So that's probably my recommendation is try to find your voice, your niche per se, find what you want to talk about and share your unique perspective because after all that's what makes YouTube is that you add your own, perspective onto the videos and the content.
Okay. Let's say there's somebody out there and they're in business and they're wanting to utilize YouTube to its fullest, and they're right along with you. They know they need to niche down. How do you recommend somebody find their niche on YouTube?
Yeah, I think when it comes down to your niche, finding your niche, you really have to pick something you're passionate about because after all, YouTube is very, it's a long game. You're going to be making videos about the topic and the niche, that you're in for a long time. So if it's something you're not that interested in, I wouldn't recommend, starting a YouTube channel. I would focus on something you're passionate about or something at least that you can talk a lot about, per se. And then also you have to provide some value in that content as well. So if you have experience going through something, if you are knowledgeable about something, in my case, it's like video editing, or even if you have experiences going through something where someone else is searching or wondering about that, then that's a good way, that you can approach YouTube is try to find something that people are searching for, or whether it's through experience or knowledge per se.
Okay. And what are some tips that you have for people that want to grow on YouTube?
Yeah, I think when it comes to growing on YouTube, you first have to get started. But once you get started, you make your first few videos, you can kind of see which ones are doing better than others. Because the hardest thing is just getting started. But then once you have content, you can kind of reflect and see the growth and which videos are performing better than others. And you really want to lean into the ones that are outliers, the ones that are getting more views than the others. That kind of shows that there's a gap, like we said, about in the market when it comes to search-based content, or maybe there's a need for a certain type of video content. So when you see a video outperforming, even if it's just a little bit, I would lean into making more content around that, subject. So for me, there's a few videos that do really well on my channel, like video export settings, compared to all the other videos about Premiere Pro. This one specific area does better than the other areas of like maybe say color correction or audio, how to add music to videos. The other videos don't do as well as like how to export videos for YouTube. So like when I see that video take off, it's like, okay, how can I expand on that? How can I come up with other video ideas that can kind of be around that? Maybe not the same exact title, but maybe, all right, well, if video export settings, maybe I make a how to make YouTube shorts at video export settings, or like you can kind of branch off of the videos that are getting a little bit more traction than the others. That's probably my number one tip for growing on YouTube.
Okay. And then, a lot of us are on YouTube where we're posting things, we're trying to grow, we're trying to get exposure. How do you recommend, I guess, what's the best way or how does somebody monetize their YouTube channel?
Yeah, so there's quite a few ways to monetize. The two main ones I would say is you have a service already or a product or service. So if you're a business, if say you provide a service or a product, you can promote that product or service on your YouTube channel. Like if you're a coach or if you have an actual physical product or service, you can do it that way. The other main way is through sponsorships. So that's the other thing you want to focus on when you're identifying your target audience is which brands and which people partners that you can partner with to connect them with your target audience and the viewers of your YouTube channel. So for me, like I work with brands like stock music, stock footage companies, because since my target audience is video editors, that's a product and service that they would need. Or let's say, if I had a online video editing course where people can learn how to edit videos from start to finish, they can sign up and I can, make money that way, which I don't, but it might be something I do in the future. You can also make money in other ways. You can sell digital products. This is another way I monetize my YouTube channel. I'll create like assets and templates that people can, purchase. So, I'll mention like, or how it would be framed is like I'll make a YouTube video talking about how do you create this graphic inside Premiere Pro. But if you want to save time, you can download and purchase my template in the video description. And you can link your store underneath your video in the video description. So selling digital products, working with brands, or selling just a service, as is are great ways. You can also become part of the YouTube Partner Program, which is probably the most common and like known way of making money on YouTube. But for that, you need to get 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time within the last calendar year. And then you can start collecting revenue based on the ads ran on your videos. And that's about, I think, 50%, of the ad revenue that brands pay to be actually on the YouTube videos themselves. Before you watch a YouTube video, there's always that ad, and then you click skip ad, or like the mid-roll ads while you're watching a YouTube video that pop up. You can start collecting money on those.
Yeah, I think that's a big misconception a lot of people have too, is that's the only way they think about monetizing, where you can be creative. You can find different areas. You don't have to have a large following or a large, subscriber base in order to start doing things that are going to, at least cover the cost for itself. There's a million different ways, just kind of being creative and thinking and, doing kind of like you said, providing value. You found the videos that are doing very well, and you create value offers around those. So that's brilliant. I really like that. Is there anything that I missed or failed to ask that you wanted to mention?
No, I think we talked a lot of good things about YouTube. YouTube might not be for everyone, but I feel like it's one of those things that everyone should just try and see if they like it or not. It's something that I tried and I was like, I really like doing this after doing a few videos. It might be tough and growth might be slow, but in the end, it really paid off if you stick with it.
Yeah, if you put in some good work, no matter what you're doing, YouTube or just anywhere else, it's going to pay dividends as long as you're doing the right things and you're doing it knowing that you're going to have to improve and knowing that there's going to be challenges. So awesome. I really like that. Where can people find you? What's the best way they reach you? How do you recommend people go about doing that?
Sure. So you can find me on YouTube at John the Video Guy. That's the name of my YouTube channel. You can also check me out at johnthevideoguy.com. If you are interested in starting your own YouTube channel, I put together a free worksheet that's available on my website. Feel free to go grab that if you're trying to strategize, come up with a plan for your YouTube channel. But those are the best ways to reach out for me.
Perfect. If anybody would like to get a hold of John or find his website or YouTube, I'm going to put it in the description so you don't have to look for it. A lot of great content, especially if you're starting off, or if maybe 2025 is going to be the year that you finally put together some YouTube shorts or whatever it is that you probably should do but haven't been. Start with John. He's going to be able to show you what to do. There's a lot to it. I know it's kind of like how to eat an elephant one bite at a time. It's the same thing with YouTube. Just kind of start taking things as they come, learn the basics, and somebody like John's perfect to show you how to do that. Otherwise, if anybody out there would like to be interviewed, feel free to book a time to meet with me. I have my links in the description as well. I'd love to have a conversation. But other than that, John, I really appreciate you taking the time. I know a lot of us have maybe been thinking about starting a YouTube channel or have, had it in the back of our minds for years, right? Mine's new. It's you got to start somewhere. So I really appreciate all the advice, and I'm definitely, I'm already subscribed. I'm going to be looking through as, as things come because there's definitely bumps in the road that I'm coming up on, and I'm going to need some help through it. So really appreciate you creating that kind of content to help us along. But other than that, let's all go out there and meet some more people. All right.
Thank you for having me, Anthony.
My pleasure.